I want to take the time to dive a little bit into dosages, amounts of substance that someone can take to get a specific desired effect. There is a lot to be found about specific dosages online. And I think the first thing that I have to stress is that dosing substances is a very, very personal thing. In the 10 years that I've worked with entheogenics, I have come across a wide variety of people, and almost everyone has their own personal take on their desired substance. This means that it's really tricky to just go online and see what it means to have a microdose, what it means to have a museum dose, or what it means to go on a heroic journey. All these words are language, and language is abstract, and this is rather complex. Most people are quite familiar by now with the concept of microdosing. This word got popularized around the late 2010s, and it pretty much means that you take any kind of substance to such a level that it's barely noticeable. There's a lot of debate whether you should feel something or you should not feel something. There's proponent players in the entheogenic field that swear by the fact that you should not feel something from a microdose. It should be sub-perceptual. And then there's a whole bunch of people that say, well, actually, you should feel a little bit. I think I personally lean more towards you should feel a little bit, because that also means that you're more in touch with your body and you're more in touch with your feelings, and you actually are more aware of what it is that you're doing in that particular moment of you taking the microdose. This is just my personal take. I don't think there is a right or wrong. There's just different perspectives, and you can roll with any perspective that you like. So if you look up microdosing LSD online and you look for dosages, I think you'll quickly find the range is between 5 to 10 micrograms. For me, that is a lot. I personally range between 2 to 5 micrograms for a microdose of LSD. If I go above that, it becomes significantly more noticeable, and I'm definitely not microdosing anymore. That's me. I have a very low tolerance for this substance. I also know people that need double, that need 25 micrograms to get what they describe a microdose feeling. So again, it's a very personal thing. And I think what I just want to re-emphasize is that there is nothing that tells you what your microdose is except your own experience. For mushrooms, it's slightly more complicated because there's a wide variety of mushroom strains that each come with their own strength. I personally have the best effects with golden teachers. These are a strain that is relatively easy to grow. With those mushrooms, I personally tend to go best with a dosage between 0.05 and 0.010 grams. 4 years ago, when I started microdosing with mushrooms, I actually started around 0.15, 0.20 grams. And as time progressed, I started noticing, no, that's a bit intense. I think it just demonstrated me also that I have a very low tolerance and I don't need that much. Now, museum dose is not something that I made up. This is a term that has actually been around since, well, on Urban Dictionary, it says it's been around since 2013. When monitoring effects of psychotropic substances, a commonly used term for a level that produces a just perceptible effect is a museum level. This is a slightly over threshold level which allows public activities, such as viewing paintings in a museum, to be entered into without attracting attention. Museum dose is when you are definitely not one to microdose. You want to have a broader, deeper, more expansive experience. But you don't want to be tripping balls and, need a sitter to stay at home. It's that fine threshold where you are still perceiving regular world reality, and you know that a red light means you have to stop walking, and you know that when you go into a museum you're gonna have to buy a ticket, and all these sort of like day-to-day default reality interactions still make sense to you, but there's something off. Now, I would also suggest that maybe, just maybe, you first do a higher experience of the particular substance you want to museum dose. And why I'm saying this is that it's good to know the playing field. It's good to be familiar with that playing field first before you enter on, walking that fine line between reality and psychedelic experience. Because the risky thing is that if you don't, and the museum dose turns out to be a bit stronger than you anticipated, you might freak out. and you might get a panic attack. It's not something that I hear often. Usually the people that museum dose, they know what they're doing quite well because they have experiences on higher doses as well. The whole path of discovering your personal perfect dosage of any entheogenic substance is part of the journey and should be considered with that in mind, your personal experience. So to conclude, microdosing should be something that you can do while still picking up your kids from school, while still having that annoying meeting with your coworker that's so stressed about the deadline. Museum dosing is something where you don't have to think about these things. You might just want to worry about which coffee you want to order at the coffee shop. That's fine. That interaction can be a bit wonky and weird. You might want to take it to go into the forest and dive deeper into some insects that you see on the floor. The thing that I'm trying to say is that microdosing should be able to do on the day-to-day, where museum dosing is definitely a recreational tool that you probably don't want to combine with your day-to-day. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments, or you can always shoot us a DM or hit me up on my personal Insta. By now you should know where to find us. I'll probably do a video as well on higher dosages, but it's a bit tricky because higher dosages can bring significantly more risks with them. So I'm a bit hesitant to promote that, if that makes sense. Thanks for watching. Hope you see me in the next one. Peace. Bye-bye.